exercise that beautiful right that we have as citizens of the United States. With that, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag and remain standing for the invocation. Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Most gracious Father, we thank you for the opportunity that we have as citizens of this great country to take part in the decision-making regarding our leadership at the federal, state, county, and local level. We pray also that you would guide our voters today, and hope that you did guide our voters today as they make these choices about the governance of our county and our city with all the propositions and measures that are on the ballot. We pray that you would have given them the knowledge and wisdom to make correct choices. We thank you for this opportunity in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mary. Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Graham.
Here.
Candia. Day.
Here.
Mayor Martina.
Here. Okay, declaration of conflict of interest?
None.
None tonight. Ceremonial matters. We have none tonight. Item 7, items from the public, non-agenda items. So if anyone would like to speak to the council, this would be the time to come forward to the podium, state your name and address. Okay, there being no one. We'll move on to 8, which is consent calendar. A, waive all readings of ordinance and resolutions except by title. B, approval of warrants. C, approval of minutes of October 11th, 2016 meeting. D, authorize the city manager to sign the joint exercise of power agreement for public agency coalition enterprise. E, adopt resolution establishing a procedure for industrial disability retirement determinations and delegations of authority.
I move that we approve the consent calendar as read.
Including items 1 and 2 under
sorry,
E.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I second that motion.
Okay, motion made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried 3 with 1 absent.
Mayor, at this time, we're going to ask that item 9A be removed from the agenda.
Okay, 9A. Okay. Okay, with that, we'll go on to B. Second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2016, next number, an ordinance amending the Title VII Fire Regulations of Newman City Code and incorporating the California Code of Regulations, Title 24, Part 9, 2016 edition of the California Fire Code, and authorizing staff to publish a summary of said ordinance.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight is a public hearing for Ordinance 2016, next number, regarding the amendments to Title VII Fire Regulations of the Newman City Code and incorporating the California Code of Regulations, Title 24, Part 9, known as the 2016 edition of the California Fire Code. The first reading of the proposed ordinance was held on October 11, 2016. A public hearing notice was published on October 13th and reissued again, and no formal comments have been received to date. The proposed ordinance is a result of changes to the California Fire Code, which is revised on a 3-year cycle. The Newman City Code was last updated during the release of the 2007 edition of the Fire Code. The revisions to Title VII Fire Regulations include updating fire department organization, amending gender-specific references, adding language for authority of powers, amending language to represent current legal limits on penalties, removing fire zones chapter, and incorporating the 2016 California Fire Code. With adoption of the ordinance, the city would be better equipped to provide for and enforce fire or life safety concerns. Therefore, staff recommends City Council hold a public hearing, conduct the second reading, approve Ordinance 2016 next in number, and authorize staff to publish a summary of said ordinance. I can answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? None at this time. This is a public hearing. At this time, I'll open to the public for any comment. There being none, I bring it back to the council for direction.
Move that we adopt the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2016, next in number, an ordinance amending Title 7, fire regulations of the Newman City Code and incorporating the California Code of Regulations, Title 24, Part 9, 2016 edition of the California Fire Code, and authorizing staff to publish a summary of said ordinance.
I second that.
Motion been made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 3 ayes and 1 absent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Item C, adopt resolution number 2016, next number, a resolution declaring the formation of a groundwater sustainability agency for the city of Newman.
Good evening, City Mayor and council members. For this particular agenda item, one brief presentation of the slide that has been prepared. It is regarding Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, which is called SIGMA. The legislative intent of SIGMA is to provide for the sustainable management of groundwater, enhance local management, provide local groundwater agencies with authority and the necessary technical and financial assistance, improve groundwater storage, and manage groundwater basin through the local government, and while minimizing state intervention. So for your information, one exhibit has been prepared. This shows the Delta Mendota groundwater sub-basin. So City of Newman is located northern and eastern portion of the sub-basin. This is a key time frame for this SIGMA requirement. So the Groundwater Sustainability Agency, which is called GSA, should be formed by June 30, 2017. And the GSP, Groundwater Sustainability Plan, should be completed by January 2022. And the overall implementation of GSP should be done by 2042. It looks like we have enough time to comply with the new requirement. But however, considering the extensive, all the data the city need to collect for the QSP is really huge. It is why the state wants to extend the time frame. So even though it's a 2022, but still somehow some agencies are running out of time. So this is a key information I want to share throughout this slide. So one of the key requirements for the SIGMA is to form the GSA. There are 2 options city can make a decision tonight. The first option is to form an independent GSA. It means that the city will have the autonomy to regulate activities within its own GSA boundary, maintain control over its own groundwater resources, maintain local land use authority. So eventually, city can participate with other GSAs in this region to develop a single GSP, Groundwater Sustainability Plan, as the Eastern Delta Mendota Sub-Basin Group. So even though the city can form an independent GSA, still we can collaborate with other GSA to develop the single GSP, which is very efficient in terms of time, effort, and cost. The second option city has at this point is to join a larger GSA group, combining several agencies to form a large GSA. So for example, one of the biggest GSA in this region is San Joaquin River Exchange Contractors Water Authorities. The large GSA establish a governance committee to convene and make decisions that would impose policies on constraint on the city. For example, city would not directly control its own groundwater resources. That means the pumping for the potable water systems. So worst scenarios, the government's committee of the large GSA can set up the limit on our pumping activities that means that we cannot control our own groundwater resources. That's a huge disadvantage on the second option. This exhibit shows the GSA boundary map for the city of Newman. And as you can see there, city of Newman is located eastern portion of the Delta Mendota groundwater sub-basin. The following is the next step the city can take. Tonight, city can hold a public hearing and adopt a resolution and file notice of intent for the GSA to DWR, and then GSA will be effective 90 days later. And city staff will participate in regional GSP development process.
Excuse me.
As such, city staff recommend hold a public hearing and adopt the resolution number 2016, next number. I can answer to any question you may have.
Thank you, Kasun.
I-
Questions from the council?
Yeah. I can see the negatives of joining the San Joaquin Exchange.
Yes.
Are there any benefits to joining them? Any specific benefits that the city would?
Yeah, city staff.
Potentially.
Yeah, city staffs contact several stakeholders in this region: Delta Mendota Water Authority, county, and CCID. What we found out is that yes, there's a big group. Their water right is very priority is really high. They almost go up to the 1800 something. It's a very old water right. However, most of the agency in the GSA is not organized like a city or the local agency. It means that when they limit their water use for farming activities, we cannot maximize our capacity in terms of pumping or even water. So that means that even though our council will have one same voice, the power, but we may not control our water for pumping activities. There's a pros and cons. We have a
Right.
higher water right, but we have some constraint in the future.
Right.
That's a huge negative factors.
Would we have
might
an
face.
equal voice with all the others?
Yes, one agency in the region, the large GSA have one local voice, but mostly farmers groups. So that's
Wow.
very different from the urbanized areas. It is why the city staff contact several other cities which went through the similar procedures. So in the beginning, most of the city thought that, joining the GSA would be much better. But as far as I know, all the cities chose independent GSA because there is a huge disadvantage in case, all the drought condition is getting worse, and then the city cannot control our water resources.
Would they be able to pull our water and send it elsewhere?
They might limit the
I mean,
pumpings.
Okay.
Yeah.
They can limit.
They
but-
cannot completely stop because they also need to do their activities, farming activities. but
Right.
There is a possibility to limit our pumping capacities in the future.
I was looking at Exhibit A, the
Yes.
groundwater for Newman. I don't see the northwest quadrant included in that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we had that discussion with CCID and with the larger group. And so the idea is we'll form the GSA now. After annexation, we'll go through a process whereby we submit an application to the state to amend our GSA. They will subsequently, at the same time, submit an application of detachment from the northwest quadrant at that time, once the annexation is complete. We've had that discussion with the group.
Okay, so it still will be able to be part of.
It will be, yeah, it will be
GSA,
added,
we
yeah.
set it up that
There's a process for annexing additional land into it.
Right.
So we've had that discussion. We also anticipate that a second action that'll come before you is an MOU with CCID, Central California Irrigation District, and some of the other agencies about how we're going to share information, how we're going to utilize each other, and pull our resources together and work together on this.
Yeah, and also I contact the state staff to discuss that particular item. But in the first slide, the Sigma's requirement is that minimize intervention between each agency and local. That means that at once the northwest quadrant is annexed to the city, we can negotiate that item, particular item, so that we can include that particular the northwest quadrant areas in our GSA. There's no problem to modify that plan.
Because I know we are looking at putting a well in that quadrant, aren't we?
Yes, there's no doubt about that. We actually have a grant to do the design work. It's anticipated that that work will be complete in around the third quarter of next calendar year. So I've been told by the consulting firm that we should be ready to bid around August or September of 17 for the new well and the tank site. But you're correct, it's adjacent to Jensen Road in the northwest quadrant.
So would that be in the GSA then?
It doesn't necessarily have to be, but at some point, it's going to be.
Okay.
Yes.
And the reality is, Councilmember Day, is once the annexation is complete, we will amend our GSA borders to match that up, and the other agencies will take it out. And it's just basically for housekeeping purposes. Let's just do what we have now. They understand that we're releasing the EIR within the next, 2 or 3 weeks, and we're going to annex that, probably complete annexation around summer of next year, and then we'll go through the process of amending the GSA.
Okay.
So I think it's very important that we have control over our own water.
Absolutely.
And so I think having our own, rather than join another group, is important. It says that there's some fiscal impact. What kind of fiscal impact are we looking at? I know you can't give maybe numbers on it, but what are we looking at?
We don't know the fiscal impact right now, because we don't know, the state's going to change what a GSP wants, which is the groundwater sustainability plan. And right now they're just telling you, we want you to do a plan. That'll change over the time. So we don't know how much effort is going to have to go into that. We don't know how much grant money is going to be available for that. So it's very difficult for us to anticipate what that is. But possibly through the MOUs and some of the other ones, and the collaboration with the other agencies and collecting some data and sharing that data, hopefully we'll be able to keep some of that cost down. So once we get that information with respect to the fiscal impact, we'll share it with you. I wish I could tell you right now.
Right.
But until the state loves to pass these.
It's not to the point where we need a full-time position or anything.
No,
It's
in fact,
just
we're anticipated to have this done in 2022.
right. Okay.
We'll probably have it done in 2021, but we're not going to do it in 2017 or 2018, because with our luck, they'll change it or push it back, and then we got this plan and we spent all this money on it, and they changed all the rules in the meantime. So.
Well, I support starting our own GSA.
I agree with that, yeah.
That makes sense.
And Mayor, just a reminder, this is a public hearing, please.
Right.
Okay, just a reminder.
Jump them off the kiosk. You know what that means?
Calm down.
It means you're in trouble. No, excuse me, consent, they have no more questions. Since this is a public hearing, I'm going to open it now to the public for any comments they may have.
Oh, my goodness.
There being no comments, I'll bring it back to the council for direction.
I move that we adopt resolution next number 2016, a resolution declaring the formation of a groundwater sustainability agency for the city of Newman.
I'll second that
Okay,
motion.
motion been made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, 3 yes and 1 absent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor. 10 is regular business. Report on Newman's Chamber of Commerce tree lighting event at the downtown plaza.
On to some fun here. Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
Members.
Good evening.
The Newman Chamber of Commerce has requested exclusive use of the downtown plaza and the 1300 block of Main Street on December 3rd, 2016, from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. to host the annual tree lighting event. This will be 1 hour longer than it has been in the past years. Event organizers have tentatively scheduled fire truck rides with the fire department from 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m., as well as food and craft booths. There will be the DJ playing holiday music for the duration event, and this will be a no alcohol event. The event date currently has no apparent conflicts with other potential community events. The Chamber of Commerce has made the following requests: exclusive use of the downtown plaza and the 1300 block of Main Street with street closures at Main and Tulare and Fresno and Main. Use of the plaza restroom facilities and electrical power at the location. They would ask to waive standards for downtown events in the areas of cleanup deposit, business licenses for vendors, insurance reduction to $1 million, as the current standard indicate a figure of $3 million, naming the city as an additional insured party, and a waiver of traffic and crowd control devices. All other standards for downtown events would apply for this event. The event organizers have prepared the similar configuration as last time, with the 1300 block of Main Street closed. The east parking lot of the plaza will remain open for parking, and the west parking lot will be closed for vendor booth setup. And I can answer any questions that you may have about the event.
Any questions? Oh, for your short. There being none, bring it back to council for direction.
I move that we approve with the request stated, the report on the Newman Chamber of Commerce tree/bush lighting event at the downtown plaza. It's always a great event. I love it.
Second that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor? Say aye. All opposed? Motion carried, 3 yes and 1 absent. Thank you. Item B, adopt resolution number 2016, next number, a resolution approving an agreement with Kendall Jenkins Consultants to provide professional service for the hexavane chromium compliance project and authorize the city manager to execute said agreement and associated documents.
Good evening. Due to the new chromium-6 maximum contaminant level, which is called MCL, the standard by the state, the city developed the long-term strategy on chromium-6 compliance and provided the action plan to the state that will serve as a roadmap for the city's compliance requirement in 2015. So in order to implement the long-term strategy on chromium-6 compliance project associated with water production as well as water quality for a new well, the City Council approved the Resolution 2016-49, authorizing an application seeking financial assistance from the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund Program. After state conducted an extensive review on grant applications, the city's proposed chromium-6 compliance project was approved up to $497,000 to complete the water system planning and design for a new water well, a new storage tank, and booster pump station that will be installed in the southern portion of northwest quadrant. The professional service agreement with the Kennedy Jenks consultant include complete design of a new well, storage tank, booster pump station, and associated improvement as part of developing a comprehensive chromium-6 compliance strategy before 2020. The said project is listed in the city's capital improvement project budget that will be funded from the water fees. Since the city is successful in obtaining this grant, up to $497,000, the amount of the water fees needed for the project will be reduced accordingly. It means that there is no fiscal impact to the city of Newman for said project. The professional service agreement has been approved as to form by the city attorney. Therefore, they recommend the city council adopt a resolution approving an agreement with the Kennedy Jenks consultant to provide professional services for said project and authorize the city manager to execute the said agreement and associated document. Mr. Jack DeBrad with the Kennedy Jenks consultant here tonight to provide a brief overview of the project and the schedule. So could you come to the podium?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. It's a pleasure to be here I'm Jacques Debray with Kennedy Jenks Consultants. Just so you know a little bit about who we are, we're in our 96th year of operation. We're a medium-sized water consulting firm in California and work in other states as well. We have a deep bench of highly qualified water professionals with much experience in water supply, water treatment, water quality, water management, regulatory compliance, water rights, and anything else that's needed. As Kassan mentioned, one of the things that we take a lot of pride in is helping communities provide a safe, reliable water supply in a cost-effective manner. So I think it's fair to say we've worked collaboratively with the city and will continue to get the results you saw tonight, which is moving forward toward regulatory compliance to improve the reliability of your water system with very little impact to the ratepayers. So that's something that we plan to continue to do. Myself, just so you know, I've been a member of American Water Works Association for over 30 years. I've worked with many communities that have gone through many different types of challenges. I've worked in Southern California, I've worked in Northern California, and so I have a pretty good hold on the California water picture and challenges. And I can witness that tonight, based on what you've heard from Kassan, the Public Works Director, that he's got a very good handle on providing you with sage advice and moving you in a good direction. So feel free to ask any questions along the way. We're always here. We take a great deal of pride in technical and client excellence, so that's very important to us. We want Newman to be proud of their community, and so we want to help you accomplish that. In regard to this project, as Kassan mentioned, we intend to design water system improvements, including the elements that have been outlined, so the city can have reliable peak demand and fire protection capacity and emergency capacity as well in a cost-effective manner. And we think that we have a great Chrome 6 compliance strategy that will have a very low impact on your rates in the future. Unlike some communities in California, just so you know, we have clients that are looking at a doubling of water rates because of this very regulation. So fortunately in Newman, we think we're headed in a great direction, and it's a great honor to be working with you. So if you have any questions, please ask.
So I can answer to any question you may have.
Any questions, the
I
council?
don't have any. I don't think I have any.
Now, you know, one thing, whenever I refer to water, I refer to it as liquid gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we're always looking for water in California, it seems like.
That's right.
It's like there's never enough water. Thank you very much for the report.
So,
Ready?
okay.
No other questions? With that, excuse me. Bring it back to the council for direction.
Move that we adopt Resolution 2016 next in number, a resolution approving an agreement with Kennedy Jenks Consultants to provide professional services for the hexavalent chromium compliance project and authorize the city manager to execute said agreement and associated documents.
Second.
Motion been made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried, 3 yes and 1 absent.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item C, adopt resolution number 2000 next number, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a land purchase and sale agreement for 20-plus acres as a future location of a well, water well and storage tanks.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Just real quickly, that was 2 acres, not 20. So it'll be a much smaller,
it's
smaller
two-
footprint.
2.0.
I'm sure the Public
Plus
Works
or
Department
minus.
would love 20 acres to put a bunch of stuff out there, but we're only going to take 2 at this time.
Okay.
We've been working with the property owner out and studying this area for quite a long time now, possibly about a year and a half, looking for the appropriate place to place our new well and water tanks out there. We did a test hole. The water sampling came out really well. We were excited about the results. So ultimately, we chose 2 acres of land adjacent to the test hole. The 2 acres will be located within the northwest quadrant project boundaries. It is included within our environmental impact report, the well, the booster tank, and the storage, and the pipelines to tie into the city existing infrastructure will be done within the EIR. And working with the property owner, because we don't know the exact configuration yet, we have a rough draft of what we think it's going to look like. What we've done is worked out an agreement that basically says they're going to sell us property 2 acres. We're going to buy the 2 acres at a fixed price. That price is $80,000. It's $40,000 an acre, which is consistent with an appraisal we had done just real close nearby. 60,000 of that will be cash. 20,000 will be credits towards the Northwest Quadrant Master Plan and EIR. As you may remember, the city is funding the Northwest Quadrant Master Plan and EIR, and then we recoup that money through the Specific Plan Act, California Specific Plan Act, and we get that back from the developers as they do that. So they would get a $20,000 credit towards some of the expenses that we have already had. Funding for the land will be a combination of both the water fund and the traffic impact fee, because it's adjacent to Jensen Road. It's appropriate for us to make sure that we have the right of way and we place this tank and well in the appropriate location so that we can widen the road and then have this adjacent to it instead of being in the middle of a subdivision. So with that, we're asking that you go ahead and approve this land purchase and sale agreement. In the previous item on the agenda that you just approved, there's actually topography survey and some other stuff that'll go in to help actually give a final legal description of what this site's going to look like once we get a preliminary design done. So with that, I can answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions? No questions. With that, I bring it back to the council for direction.
I move that we adopt resolution next number 2016, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a land purchase and sale agreement for 2+ acres as the future location of a water well and storage tanks.
Second motion.
Okay, we have a motion, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3 yes and 1 absent. D is report of converting a part-time community service officer position to a full-time.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Currently in your budget, you have 1.5 community service officer fund positions allocated. So that's a full-time person and a part-time person. This summer, our part-time person left our agency and went somewhere else and got a full-time job. We recruited and actually had a panel interview the top applicants and could not find a quality applicant to fill that part-time position. Subsequent to that, the chief and I, as well as myself and other members of our staff, have had some conversations on there, and we've also had conversations with the council. And we believe, the staff and listening to the council, that it may be an appropriate time to convert that part-time position to a full-time position, have 2 full-time CSOs. And then we could have a full-time position that's really going after the aesthetics and the quality of life issues and addressing those, as opposed to just having that on a part-time basis. If so approved by you, the council, we would go out and recruit for a full-time community service officer. One of the community service officers that's currently on staff, she would continue to do animal control and vehicle abatement, and then we would have the one of the clerks and her do the evidence monitoring. The second would be, like as I mentioned, more of the aesthetics, public nuisance, quality of life type issues. Also can do business license issues if there's people that don't have business licenses, and do some of those other ones. Then there would be a full-time position. At this time, we'd be recommending that position be housed in City Hall. We have some extra cubicles that we could do it, and it would run under the authority and be supervised by both the city manager and the city planner, and doing some of the planning and zoning, as well as some of the business license and other municipal code items. Our police department is really, they generally focus on California and penal law and vehicular traffic laws. We're more geared towards municipal city code law over here. So we think by splitting those two up, it might be a good fit for us, and we think we'll get a much better response in terms of some of the issues that I know a lot of the council members have, in terms of the stuff they've been seeing around town, and it'll allow us to, I think, address that in a better manner, in a more efficient manner, and then also more, there'll be additional time to be addressing those issues, not just a part-time person who's here, a couple days a week. So with that, the impact for a full-time position is an additional $31,000 because it comes with benefits, and however, this year we anticipate the impact would only be about $5,000. In working with our finance director, he and I have had some discussions on, because some of the new CSO, as we get into the next budget year, would be doing some review to make sure everyone's complying with our watering laws and discharge laws, that water and sewer may be able to fund a small portion of that salary as well. So with that, I can answer any questions that you have at this time.
I don't have any particular question.
And we thank you, Michael.
Yes. I think
Okay.
this is a good idea.
With that, I bring it back to council for direction.
I recommend that the city proceed with converting a part-time community service officer position to full-time, as described.
I'd second that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Motion carried, 3 yes and 1 absent. Item 11, items from District 5 Stanislaus County Supervisor Jim DeMartini, and he's an observer tonight.
He's an observer tonight, that's correct.
So he's observing. Anyway, 12, items from the city manager and staff. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to, first of all, want to wish a happy Veterans Day to everybody that's out there. That's coming up this Friday. I know Gustine also does services out there, so check your local paper for the times and locations of their services. I know they do a parade, and I think they generally have a speaker at the Rose Hall. So, second, I wanted to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Bob McConnell and Tony Butero. Today is D-Day for them. They've been putting in a lot of hard work and time into Measure M, as well as I know these council members have as well, and walking the precincts. I know the community's really getting behind this. We really had good response when we were knocking on the doors. I think I probably had the lowest response, and that was just under 61%. Many others had a lot higher response than I did, and that's good to hear. So tonight we'll find out if all that hard work is done. But Mr. Bob McConnell he's been an all-star in this. I mean, he's hitting legendary status now in this town, and I think anyone who knows him, I've already put him in there. But this is just another coup for him. And Miss Tony Butero has also done a good job. So I just wanted to.
He's an amazing man. I don't know how he does it. He goes 100 miles an hour for his age. It's just unreal.
Yeah.
I hope I got that going.
Organized and focused.
Yeah.
He's so organized.
Yeah, he's done a great job with that. So.
Yeah, the Energizer Bunny.
Yeah. So, with that, November 1st was the start of curbside tree brush pickup. We probably next year we'll do a better job. People are starting to put that out early. I mean, it's November 1st is the day, and I know my neighborhood was full probably by October 25th or so. We just got to make sure that we get those in there, and people are doing it all year. With the new position this year, we'll make sure that we handle that and get better information out next year. But it is happening now, and I think that's through March, that you can put your brush out there, and anything needs to be chopped down to about 3 feet in size, nothing larger than 3 feet in size. And then lastly, our Christmas tree bush. I know Grover Tree was out here today, and I know our superintendent, Perfecto Milan, has worked with a couple of nurses in terms of making sure that we find an appropriate replacement tree. So that search has started probably 30, 45 days or more ago. So, we'll have this event, and then, the the changeover will happen in January or February. We'll start getting things going again on that and making sure that things are done in a manner that gives that tree the best opportunity to be successful and take a good life after that. So, and again, Mr. Perry has been very helpful with that, and I'd like to thank him as well, Mr. Ed Perry. So, with that, I can answer any questions that you may have.
I got none?
Staff?
I have nothing tonight.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Just a quick update on the skate plaza and the dog park. Staff was gonna notify you at the last meeting, but we didn't have a meeting, so forgive the delay. There is a bit of a delay for the skate plaza due to some light poles. They should be arriving in early December, and then we'll have to coordinate to have the electricians come out and run the light poles and power them up. Other than that, the project it's on its way to being completed, but we're just gonna have to wait for those light poles. They're a critical component of the project before we can open it. The remaining asphalt and hydro seed will be put in next week. We're currently developing a punch list, and like I said, pretty much after next week, it'll just be a wait on those light poles. Regarding the dog park, there was some minor ADA alterations that had to be done, and that has started today. We had to do a little bit of demo work, and we'll be replacing that in the near future and hope to have that dog park open to the public soon. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
The other question on the skate park, as far as the timing of, as far as when it's open and when it closes, is there going to be a time that it is open and it is closed?
I believe the intent for the skate park would be to follow park hours, which is the dawn to dusk. We will be developing rules for the park, just like we did for the original skate park. If the council so desires to structure the hours differently for that park, staff's happy to look into that for you.
Thank you.
There's going to be lights for it, right? Correct?
Yes, so the lights are not designed to illuminate for use at night. It is more for security and safety. They will be at a lower lumen at night and
Right.
more motion activated. And that'll help public safety see if kids are running back there or getting
Right,
into
right.
mischief. It won't be designed for use at night.
Okay. I was just thinking when it closes at 5, or when it's dark at 5 o'clock in the evening, there's still got a couple hours. I didn't know if that was dusk to dawn.
Yeah,
Yes, we-
that's how it's written in our code.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but the lighting was designed to not encourage use in the evening because, you know, sometimes kids get into mischief at nighttime.
Absolutely.
And also, there will be a camera.
There will be multiple cameras at the council's request, yes.
I just,
Yes, it'll increase security for the skate park as well as Memorial Building. So we're going to be covering a good area with the new cameras, once those are installed. We've already spoke to the cabling company for that work to be done as soon as the light poles are in and the electrical's done. We're going to be coming in right after, and that's about a 2-day job. So we've got all that lined up.
thank you. Great project. Thank you very much. Lou?
Evening, Mayor and council members. Working on our financials to have those completed and presented at the December 13th financial or council meeting. Looks like we'll have them all done on time. And happy to answer any questions you might have.
Good evening again.
Good
So
evening.
just the 2 items. We got pretty good rain on Friday, October 28th. That's almost 1.8 inch, which is really good. It's really helpful. Even though we saw several flash flooding in downtown areas, all the water is gone within a very short period of time. So that means that our storm drain system working really well at this point. And the public works started decorating the downtown areas so that we can make sure that all the light will be on before the Thanksgiving. I can answer to any question you may have.
Yeah, just an observation, when we had that rain, I know that the holding holding tank was almost full,
Yeah.
and I think it was almost empty by the weekend, but I think the soccer had to be, you couldn't have soccer, the youth soccer.
I saw a guy out in Sherman Park in a canoe the day of.
Anyway, the system works.
Yeah, it
Yes,
works great.
that's a detention basin. It was working really well.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks.
And Chief?
Mayor, council, just a reminder, the time changed, so please change the batteries in your smoke detectors. We have had instances in the past where they save lives if they're working properly, so. Also wanted to update on the Explorer program. There is an orientation going on at the Patterson Station 2 for 4 Explorers for the Newman Station. So that'll be great if we can get them on board. And then CPR went well, so we actually have now 6 more community members that are CPR certified in town. So we're getting up there. I'd say we're around 24 certified CPR community members in our town since the program started, so, yeah.
Nice.
I can answer any questions you might have.
Thank you very much. Casey?
As some of our things on the agenda tonight, we've made a lot of good strides towards protecting water, our water stuff for the future, ensuring our community has good, healthy water going forward. So I think that's very important and a good deal. I'd also like to congratulate you, Mayor, and Councilman Day and Councilman McDonald on your, guys are going to win, obviously, on your guys' continued positions, and welcome.
Yeah, it was a tough election. Our opponents were tough. Thank you very much, Casey.
All right. Just thanks to the community for the support that we've heard so far on Measure M, and we look forward to having a pool in our community. And thank you, Casey. Appreciate the kind words.
Just a comment on Horace Timba High School, the football team. Maybe a lot of you don't know, but they're in the playoffs, and they will be playing this Thursday at 7 in Newman. They'll be playing Brent Hart, and they've had some exciting football this year. They've lost one game. They lost to Mendota, and Mendota hasn't lost a game, so it was a tough game, and it was a tough loss for them. The only other comment I'd make is this Friday is Veterans Day, so if you happen to know someone that's a veteran, thank them. And I believe the city hall will be closed.
Yes.
So
And our
with
next
that-
council meeting will be December 13th.
Okay, thank you, Michael. And I have nothing further, and I'll ask for an adjournment.
I move that we adjourn.
Second?
Motion been made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank